Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today it is time to do the final week review for the 2024 United Football League season. That's right, we have finally crowned a champion a few days ago, and it is time to look back on this championship game. How good was the game, how good was the attendance, and how good was the TV ratings? Again, like I talked about yesterday in the Power Rankings video, I'll have my kind of vlogish-like video come out on Friday most likely about my experience at the game. I'm going to talk about it a little bit in this video. So without further ado, let's get right into the score of the game. Now, yeah, we're not going to go into doing normal like, oh, what were the scores? Because I mean, it's just one game. It was a shutout. I mean, Birmingham obliterated San Antonio. Look, San Antonio technically was only 100 yards behind, but if you watch the game, you know that a lot of those were kind of later in the game, and even then, it was just never really close. Fumbles, turnovers by San Antonio hurt. Chase Garbers had one of the worst games you'll ever see a QB have, even though passing-wise, in a, efficiency sense, he was great. He once again was throwing for less than 10 yards per pass, which is kind of the scheme. But the issue was that he didn't want to go for first downs. I know there's reports that he had NFL offers and all that, and now it's a question of will he actually get them because, I know he did it twice, but the 3rd and 1 slide was horrific, where it basically felt like he gave up. And then Quentin Dormady came in, made a couple decent big plays, and it was just too little too late, and it was a shutout. Now, the MVP of the game being Adrian Martinez was a controversial one. The fact is he didn't have the greatest passing day. 13 to 23 for 98 yards is not a good stat line. It just isn't. Again, that's less than 10 yards per completion. Like I always say, that's how you know if a QB had a great day or if it was more so just bunch of checkdowns, and especially since it's not even 60 completion percentage, I get it. He had the 2 rushing touchdowns, he had 52 yards on the ground. Ricky Person had over 100 yards on the ground. Keala Tezino had 6 solo tackles and 2 forced fumbles. Both those guys deserved it a hell of a lot more than Martinez, in my opinion. But overall, again, it was, when you look at the Brahmas, Anthony McFarland really was the only guy that was one of the few guys who actually came to play the level you expected him to. Calvin Turner had a really solid day. But Anthony McFarland had, 6 receptions, had 9 rushes for 32 yards. He was really the best player on the Brahmas on offense, and overall it was a sad time for them. It was a shutout. It is what it is. You got to give credit to, Birmingham getting the W. Congratulations to San Antonio for making it to the championship game, but the team that has more experience, is better coached, is, better ran in terms of, talent, spotting, GM. Just the better team got the W. There's nothing really to be that upset about aside from it being shut out. It is what it is. Now the attendance, yikes. So first and foremost, in a technical standpoint, the UFL is very happy about the attendance. They're not ecstatic, but they're happy. They got 27,000 tickets sold or distributed. Now I know people say, oh, there's a ton distributed. I don't really think it's as big as people say. But in terms of sold, yeah, there was a bunch of tickets sold. We know that. So that's good for them. It is the best modern spring football playoff or championship game is done by far. The USFL can't even, the 2 Tom Benson ones aren't even that high and all that. So you got to give credit to that being solid. Now, here's the issue. The issue is that it was not that many people actually at the game. We all know that. These are pictures I took at the game. These are the end zones. Legitimately, there's no way it was over 20,000, and in fact, a lot of people who are more used to the stadium are estimating that it might even be less than 15,000 people were actually at the game. I know I've seen multiple people put in comments to my videos that they're not going to go to the championship game despite having tickets for it because the Battlehawks aren't in it. I saw multiple people, even when I went to the game and met people, it's, I didn't know if I really wanted to come because the Battlehawks weren't there. A bunch of people did not show up, and I know some are going to say, oh, it's not a big thing. This is a really bad look for St. Louis. I know I like to talk about how I'm not a huge fan of the Mark Cast, but something he said in his most recent podcast or episode I fully agree with. The league is not coming back to St. Louis for a championship game. This was St. Louis's opportunity to prove just how much of a football city they are. Instead, they proved how much of a Battlehawks city they are, and there is a difference in that regard. The fact is we saw San Antonio, and again, before people say where Arlington's close, Arlington's still a few hours away. It's not, anything like as bad as some of the teams St. Louis, but San Antonio's 22,000 was a lot closer to 22,000 in attendance than St. Louis. So because of that, this was a really bad look for the league, a really bad look for them. Because yes, the announced number was 27,000, but what people saw, what people watched on TV, was they saw a stadium that was pretty much empty. You know, I know technically speaking, Tom Benson, can only hold like 22,000. But here's the deal. Last year's championship game, yes, did they have over 16K? Definitely not, because the entire second, area was empty. But the entire 100s were sold out. It looks better on TV. That's why people say a smaller stadium is better. You have to put in less people to make it look like a full stadium. Bad for St. Louis. Really going to hurt them in, their quest to have a championship game there again. I know a lot of people are thinking Audi Field is a potential one next year. Some are even saying they go back to Tom Benson. We'll see, but I think everybody does know there's no way in hell they're going back to St. Louis for the championship game. Definitely was a disappointment. Now, once again, what wasn't was the TV ratings. Despite this game being a complete boring shutout, it still beat out the 2022 United States Football League Championship games TV ratings. It still beat it. Now, the rating, not necessarily. It was technically down 0.1 from that one and the same as the XFL. But in total viewership, it hit 1.6 million compared to the 1.52 million the 2022 USFL game had, which, remember, that is arguably the greatest spring football game in the modern era. And that game still got beat out by this one. I know the audience peaked in the second quarter when Brady was calling the game, so that kind of helped it a little bit. But the fact is that this game really suffered from being a blowout. Having the stands look the way they did, having it be a total blowout, all really hurt. Yet it still hit a really solid number. The fact is this is the highest number of the entire season. That's what you love to see. You love to see the championship game be that final moment where it has great ratings. Would you like to have seen it be a bit higher? Maybe, but it still is over 1.5 million. It still is the best in the season. And again, it got hurt a lot by the game being a 25-0 shutout. If you're not a fan of defensive battles, you probably clicked off after this, really the first quarter, maybe even halfway through the second quarter. And then if you were still watching, you probably turned it off after the San Antonio fumble in the third quarter, because the game was over at that point. So with that, that'll pretty much do it for this video. This has been Zom Fox. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified as about any videos. We are done with the UFL season, but we still have a lot of videos coming out regarding this past season, and then of course some regarding next season. So make sure you're there for that. We are doing a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers, so be on the lookout for that as well. And as always, guys, have a great night.